Hi everyone, my name is Nicola. I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, it's great to have you, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming and spending some time with me today. So today I'm going to do a stitch with me. Crikey. And this is going to be one which has a chat element, so I'm going to go through comments and respond to them. I am working on, just bear with me a sec, I'm working on, sorry if you do hear any banging noises, the next door's kids are off again. No, can't, no, there. Okay, I'm working on this piece. Sorry, it's got lots of glare in it. This is Bizarre Bookshelf. It's a Geckorouge piece. Artwork is by Colin Thompson, and I am up in the top left bookshelf there. I'm working on this one. I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross on some, picture's terrible, on some 25 count. My needle minder shows you basically what it is. This is the middle section. And yeah, like I said, I've got some comments that I want to answer. So we're going to get underway. That doesn't really help much with the light, does it? There we go. You okay? You coming for your dinner?
Yeah.
Lauren's in. She's now finished at school.
Woohoo!
So you might just hear a bit of clattering while she gets her dinner. Andy and I have not long since got back in. He's gone to work, but we've not long since got back in from a little road trip. We've been and collected She Sleeps. And if you have missed it, if you go and take a look at my shorts, you'll see She Sleeps. Oh, I'm hearing full on screaming from next door now. Typical, isn't it? I get a video out and he starts having a meltdown. Okay, so as I said, I've got some comments to look through. I've done 280 stitches on this so far today. I'm just getting to the beginning of my comments, bear with. There we go. Yeah, so I'm starting on some comments on Flosstube 23. But yeah, let's have an hour and a half stitchy time. Are you having anything in particular, Lauren? Okay, okay. Can you do the cat half a pouch? Yeah. Thank you. She's haunting me. She's been haunting me since I came back in. Let me just sort this camera out a bit. There we go. Okay. So yeah, me and Andy have just got back in. We brought She Sleeps home. She looks gorgeous. Like I said, if you've not seen the short, go and take a look. I'm just thrilled with how it's turned out. I really am. I'm looking at potentially entering it into the Rotherham show. Which takes place here in September. But they want to have it overnight for 2 nights in a tent in a park. And I'm kind of not convinced I want to do that. I'd sooner, show it off on here rather than in a park, risk it being damaged or stolen or whatever. I'm sure they have security and things, but you just never know, do you? I mean, what if the worst happens and somebody decides to take a match to the tent, I can't, I don't know if I can risk it. So yeah, but I'm thrilled that she's home. So we've got some comments from Flosstube 23 onwards. Flosstube 23 was of course a fairly long one where I said get a brew. And the first comment is from Anne-Marie, who leaves me some hearts emojis. So thank you, Anne-Marie. And as I've always said, any comment like it's all very much appreciated, because even a thumbs up, just an emoji, it all helps with the algorithm. And my aim this summer is to grow my social medias. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc., etc. I want to grow them. Thank you, Lauren. That's the cat fed. Okay, Cheryl Barnettson says, hi Nicola, Envy is gorgeous. I love all the green in that piece. It's so inspiring to see someone so passionate about cross stitching. Well, I absolutely am passionate about it. It's a hobby that I love and that I like to share. It absolutely keeps me grounded, keeps me sane, and I just love it. Don't tell Lauren.
You're obsessed with it. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So I do have Instagram. I also have a TikTok account as well, and I will try and put a link in the description. Because if you are on TikTok, give me a follow on there. My videos on there, I'm going to do sort of mainly little stitch with me's, sort of 20 minutes that are sped up, so they turn out to be like 5-minute videos kind of thing, on my daily stitches of the day. And that's kind of my plan on there. But yeah, you know, Lauren says I'm obsessed, and I can't disagree. So GR82BK says, I was just wondering, with all your whips, I imagine you work from a master set of DMC. Do you order it in bulk boxes with individual skeins or cones, and where do you get it all from? I know Geckorouge sends floss with their kits. Do you ever use up the leftovers from those? So multiple parts to that question. First of all, yes, I do have a master set. I have them all on, excuse me, on plastic floss cards. These are the DMC numbers, so this is 21. These are the new ones up to 154. So I have about a skein's worth of thread on each one. In terms of how do I fill it up, I used to do some kitting, and I bought cones of thread out of my money. So even though I no longer kit, the cones still belong to me. So I have a lot of cones, don't tell Lauren. So I have plenty of thread. And when I do order, I tend to have a look, see who's got a sale on, and if I've run out of a colour, I might order 10 skeins at once. Usually I order enough to make sure I can get like free delivery and stuff. You know, I kind of do it that way. For me, that's the most cost-effective way. So that's the way I do that. But yeah, I have about probably 400 cones in my conservatory, and every so often I top up my master set from those cones, apart from some which is in skeins, which I keep separate, because cones unfortunately do not last forever. Some of them are the smaller size and some of them are the big size. So let's, for example, I have a 310 in a cone. The 310 is 2,100 meters. I think the small cones are about 500 meters. So whilst I've got a lot of small cones, I do have a few larger ones too. So yeah. When I got them, I purchased them directly from DMC because I had a trade account with them, and every so often the DHL man or whatever it was would turn up at the door with a nice big box. The only thing that used to annoy me when I used to order from DMC was that if I ordered say 10 cones and they were waiting on one, they were out of stock of one, they were waiting for some more to be made, they would hold the whole order. And that used to be quite annoying because you could guarantee the one I was waiting for wasn't the one I was desperate for. But DMC cones are not available to the general public. They're only available to people who do kitting work and stuff like that. And of course, I now, as it stands, I no longer qualify because I don't do any kitting. Sarah, I used to kit for Sarah up at Paine Free Crafts, but she now does it all herself, which is fine. And I am left with more than enough thread to serve my cross-stitching habit, as it were. And let's face it, there are worse habits. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and the bin goes out more than I do.
I swear that's one of your favourite things to say.
Eh?
I swear that's one of your favourite things to say.
It is one of my favourite things to say, Lauren, because it's absolutely true. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and the bin goes out more than I do. So, yeah. I know Geckorouge sends floss with their kits. Yes, they do. Do you ever use up the leftovers from those? Yes, I do. So whilst Geckorouge do not give the thread numbers, with a little bit of time and determination, you can actually work out what colour is what. And I just add them back into my master set. Or should I say, add them into my master set. No, add them back in because I didn't take them out in the first place. So when each Geckorouge kit is finished, the remaining thread will just be absorbed into my master set, which is fine. Because I don't waste a thing if I can help it. I tend to play thread chicken quite a lot, with the exception of my night cafe. I'm a bit freer and easier with thread on night cafe, but I do tend to use a bit more thread on that. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I try and be a conscientious of not wasting. Doesn't always work as well as I'd like, but still, if we try. still haven't found a use for my thread ends. I mean, lots of people make them into Christmas ornaments and stuff, but that doesn't appeal to me. I don't generate enough to use them as filling or stuffing. So 1, 1, 2 there. Then the next comment is from Loopy Sue on Sunday Stream with, again, some heart and smiley face emojis. Thank you very much. And ditto Carla. Carla leaves me a comment on Flosstube 23 with hearting smiley faces. Oh dear. Andy, who is Crow Stitcher, comments on, again, Flosstube 23, and she says the wing on the bee looks incredible. Yes, it does. It's almost finished now as well, because the second portion, the underneath, is nearly done. I'm super pleased. You know, the bee wings are sort of gossamer, translucent, and it just comes across, it's translated so well into the needlework. I'm thrilled how the bee looks. Then Andy comments to say that she started Rivendell Castle last month and she's stitching 2/1 half cross on 25 count. Yeah, I've chosen 2/1 full cross on 20 count for Rivendell. Because I had a piece, I had enough 20 count to do it, and I don't want to lose detail. And of course, with having blends, it sort of has to be 2 strands really. Or, you know, if you're going to do it, you know, single, you know, 1 strand full cross, you'd be using, you know, the bottom half, the darker colour on the bottom half of the X and the lighter colour on the top half, which is a lot of faff, let's face it. So I went for 20 count so I can stitch 2 strands, and where I can, I'm using up the blend, the thread length in its entirety. She says it's such a gorgeous piece. Yes, it is. And it's one of those pieces I find often when I'm looking at the piece directly, it looks sorry, Lauren's destroying the kitchen. When I'm looking at a piece directly, it looks completely different to when I'm looking at it through a camera or on the pre-recorded sort of segment. It's bizarre really. But yeah, I'm already enjoying it, and it's like every piece, I get into stitching them and I don't want to put them down. You know, I was working on the other day, I didn't want to put it down, Cosmic Marbles. I wanted to carry on, but I got to my rotation end, and you know, my rotation is to switch it out, so I switched it out. But I could have carried on, stitched and stitched and stitched. But there we go. But, you know, Lauren would just put that down to me being stitchy obsessed. I haven't seen Unicorn out for a while. Just thinking about that. If I actually put it on my YouTube list. Yes, I have. It's all right, it's me. Okay, Lorraine says, sorry for being a bit dim, but what is a model stitch? You are not a bit dim, not at all. It is a perfectly valid question. And, you know, model stitch is, it's an additional, it's a line of work for me. It's self-employed work. I touched on this briefly in last week's Flosstube as well, so if you've seen that, I do apologise if I'm repeating myself. However, a model stitch is, I have a relationship with a designer who produces pieces for national magazines and part works. Oh, blimey, I've got one to post back. Just reminded me, did you see that one that I'd finished?
I think so.
So I have a contract with them and they supply the fabric and thread and the pattern, and I make it up in accordance with that, and then I post it back to them, and then at the end of the month I receive a payment for it. I get a payment. It used to be when you did stitching you got paid like a penny a stitch and stuff like that, but now I get paid an actual rate per hour. So I will send that back, and then at the end of the month, by the month end, payment is sent across for me. It's self-employed work, so it is fully taxable. Yeah, I've got all of that set up accordingly, because obviously I do it alongside my full-time job. What it provides for me is a stitchy variety, because my pieces are mainly full coverage, and these pieces that I've been stitching, I haven't had a full coverage one yet. If you think like, you know, years back in the magazines when you used to get things like Tatty Ted and Popcorn and stuff like that, Country Companions, it's those kind of sized small pieces. And yeah, I send them back, and sometimes I get a picture of, you know, she sent them for staging and photography and stuff, and I get pictures back and they just look amazing. You know, you sort of don't think that, you know, your work can look that good. So, but yeah, so I get a bit of variety out of it. Something that isn't a full coverage, something that's usually stitched on 14, 16 or 18 count. And of course, you know, the added bonus is I get paid. I get paid to do it. So I'm very, very happy to be doing it. If I get 1 or 2 pieces a month, I'm happy enough with that. It just keeps the, it means that I can provide for the little extras, like Lauren's got a prom coming up. You know, we've got a day out planned in August, you know, that kind of thing. It means that little bit of extra money, it doesn't stress the family finances. But of course, as you all know, you know, the cost of everything is going up. I spent this week probably 50% more on my shopping than I would do ordinarily, and a lot of it was price increases. I had to buy a couple of bath towels, but still. And you know, I have obviously a few streams of income. I have my main job, I have my YouTube income, and I have my model stitch income. And my main job obviously looks after the main bills, and my YouTube and model stitching looks after me and my hobby, pays for retreats and stuff like that, and also provides our family with some of the little extras. My buy me a coffee, all of that money gets ring fenced and it goes towards framing, because framing is quite expensive. I've just had She Sleeps back, as you know. That cost me £125 to frame.
looks absolutely beautiful though.
It does look beautiful. And you know, it is amazing to have it done, you know, professionally like that. It proper sets off how lovely. I mean, if you have a look at that again, Lauren, after your dinner, look closely, you'll see there's like a golden inner.
Yeah.
And the red matches with some of the red in it, so it all pulls it all together. It just looks, I love it.
Amazing.
So yeah, so my buy me a coffee money, you guys helped me to pay for framing, and that is so much appreciated.
We definitely need to find somewhere to hang it.
We do. I think I might put it there.
Yeah.
But it might need something stronger than the picture hooks that are there. I mean, it's not terribly heavy, but it is large.
Yeah.
Andy was like, "Oh, it's called She Sleeps and she's sleeping in it. Maybe it should go in a bedroom." I'm like, "No. Why would I want to hide away my stitching?" Definitely don't want to hide away my stitching, do I?
No.
But I think possibly with the next one I might get framed is when I've finished degridding it and sorting it out, is Avarice. So yeah, so my buy me a coffee money is ring fence for framing, and you guys help me out enormously with that, and whatever else is required I just top up from my YouTube earnings. And my YouTube has paid for retreats this year and next, and it's also paid for the big stitch next year as well. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to say it again, like I said it earlier, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and the bin goes out more than I do. Cross stitching is my thing, it's my art, it's my passion, and it's my therapy. So, and I earn the money to go and do those things. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It just pulls everything together, doesn't it? It sounds like kids are going out next door. Yeah. Are you off back upstairs?
Yep.
Okay. The kids are going out somewhere next door. Thank God.
Yay.
You're so noisy. I'm not Mardy, I really am not. Maria Violetto says, "What a beautiful kitty you have. The bee's wing looks amazing. Great progress on all of your projects." Thank you, Maria. Yeah, she is a beautiful kitty, although she's a massive, massive pain in the rear. She can be quite demanding. She wants attention. She demands attention. And, you know, if we all go out, no matter what time it is when we come back in, whether it's her time to be fed or not, she demands food. I came in at 11 a.m. this morning, and her feeding time isn't until sort of 12 at the earliest, and she was demanding food. I'm like, nope. This morning she was scratching at my bedroom door at 4:30. And I mean, I was out of bed at just after 5, but still, that's not the point. You know, she woke me up. Pesky cat. That was good. Oh, do you know what? It's too short a length of thread. Okay. What else have I got in here? 52. Envy is luscious with fabric draping, says Heather Pearson. I want to see more of her. Yeah, she is a bit of a favourite when she comes up. It really, really is you know, she really is a lovely piece. And I know people do look forward to Envy coming out or back in rotation. Obviously I don't get to work on her nearly as much, but still I do get to work on her, and as I get, you know, reducing my number of whips, I get to work on her all the more. I decided to go with this piece. I normally do 100 stitches wide, but I've gone 150 this one, just a little bit bigger. So I'll be working on a section 150 stitches wide down to the bottom. I was going to do this one shelf by shelf, but I think my my version of typewriter method seems to work quite well, so I'm doing that. You know, it works. Everything works well if you don't unthread your needle. Peel and Plan. Wow, great progress, Nicola. That wristlet is beautiful. That was the one for Lauren's prompt, and it was Lauren approved. As I now have more than one cross stitch going at once, I was wondering if you release the tension when not actively stitching on them or leave them be. I have heard proponents for both ways, but was hoping to get your insight. Well, the vast majority of them, I will frame them up as I work on them. So, like, say for example, this week my Monday Tuesday project was looking at it, Sophie Kilpatrick's Tower Bridge. So I framed that one up on Monday, started working on it. It's still in its frame now. This one, I've started working on it today, framed it up, and then the next 2 days, the next two projects will get framed up as I use them. I've got Coastal on Bees already in a frame. So I usually keep them in the frame until I've done my Flosstube. Once I've done my Flosstube, they come out of the frame and go into their project bag until the next time I work on them. Having said that, at the minute, B is out all month, but the frame does get, the tension does get released on it. I don't keep it tight in tension on the frame. My Realm of Middle Earth is in a large quilting frame, and that's not particularly tensioned anyway because it's large. You can't really tension those large frames up too well, so I'm not concerned about that. That just gets left. And Night Cafe and Daughter of the Deep stay in their frames because they're so big, it's hard to get them on and off the frames. But then again, yes, I tend to get a hook mark, but I'm not concerned because I'm sure that when they're washed, the hook marks will come out, and of course in time that they'll come out as well, and they do get moved fairly frequently. So I think Daughter of the Deep gets moved like every 6 times or something. It gets worked on, and Night Cafe gets moved probably every 4 to 5 times it's worked on. So yeah, I do it both ways really. So, but usually with the Nerge ones, the Nerge frames are the ones that I tend to interchange most often. So I'm using the Nerge frames for my weekly rotation stitches. The ones that are kept in frames permanently are not in Nerges, if that makes sense. So I suppose it depends on what kind of frame that you're using. because I do find that nerge frames can tend to leave a mark. Having said that, I stitched She Sleeps mainly on a nerge, and that, after it was washed and pressed, there was no marks on it. So I'm super happy. Again, it's like everything in cross stitching, your own trial and error. But loosening the tension is a good habit. Karen Ennis says, I love all your stitching. Thank you, Karen. And then our Leslie Maud says, still on the same Flosstube. Loving all your whips shown tonight. They're all lovely with nice, neat stitches. You've been given some great RAKs this week, and the needle threader will come in very useful. Yes, it already is. Wow, that wrist corsage for Lauren is beautiful. I'm sure she will be over the moon with it. Thanks for the great video. Yes, indeed, Lauren was over the moon. We now have everything. We have a dress. She already had shoes. She's wearing her Doc Martens under the dress. We have a tiara. We have a necklace and earrings. We have a wrist corsage, and we have a handbag. All that's left is for it to be styled up. And she's done another try on of the dress, and we can now zip it up. So she's getting happier and happier. Each time she tries it, there's another little victory. Okay. And then Heather Kisik says, hi Nicola, all are coming along nicely. Envy is beautiful. I got the long arm as my sofa is a bit wide, and it was a lifesaver. I wouldn't be without it. Yes, I'm finding that now about the long arm. I can sit much more comfortably to stitch, which, you know, like I said before, when I stitch at an Olympic rate, it comforts everything. Especially the older I get. I find that when I'm working on stitching shelf, because it's not attached to my lowery, because it's just lent at the front of me, I'm kind of bending forward, and it does hurt my back. But you know, any piece now that's on my lowery on the long arm, I can sit so much more comfortably and straight. I don't sit on the slant anymore to work on them, which is fantastic. I like your rotation method. She says, I sort of go from one to the other as the notion takes me, which doesn't always get that much done at the end of the day. I might have to give this method a go and see how I get on. So for those of you that don't know about my rotation, again, I'll just briefly summarize it. So I have a list of projects in no particular order, just the order that they were started and added to, and I just added to the projects this year with the numerous new starts that I had. And I started at the top of the list and I worked my way to the bottom of the list. So my week is divided up into 4 parts: Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and Sunday on its own. So for each of those four sessions or 4 time slots, I allocate a project in order from the list. So if I was working at the top of the list, top of the list would be for Monday and Tuesday, second one for Wednesday and Thursday, third for Friday and Saturday, and the fourth for my Sunday stitch. So for each of the 2-day projects, so everything except for the Sunday stitch, my aim is to get 1,000 stitches completed. Once I've completed 1,000 stitches, any extra stitches or extra time that I get to stitch, I put in on my focus for a finish. At this moment in time, my focus for a finish is Symphony, with the exception of Saturdays. If I get any extra stitchy time on a Saturday, those stitches are going into Night Cafe. So spare stitch Saturday is Night Cafe day because it's the biggest piece. Oh, sorry, slightly off screen here, because it's the biggest piece that I have. So each of those 3 pieces will get 1,000 stitches. And then on Sunday, my Sunday stitch is a piece that I've nominated them to work on all day on Sunday. So however many stitches I get in on the Sunday, happy days. At the moment, on my Sunday stitches, I'm getting about 1,400 in. I can't always work from first thing in the morning till last thing at night. I do have a Sunday dinner to do, and sometimes I do a bit of overtime and stuff like that. But I do get a good lot of stitching done on a Sunday. As you guys know, if you've watched me for a while, you'll know I'm an early riser. And, you know, I get my best stitching done in the morning. Then on a Wednesday night, I do a live stream, and also on Sunday. And on a Wednesday, my live stream is, if I have a new start that week, I will work on it on, on a Wednesday live stream, I always work on the focus for a finish or my extra stitches piece, depending. And on my Sunday live stream, if I've had a new start that week, on the Wednesday morning, I will have filmed a stitch with me with it, which is usually released on the Saturday. And then on a Sunday night's live stream, I continue to work on that piece. So the only difference is between new start weeks and non-new start. If it's a non-new start week, my Sunday stitch is worked on the live stream. If it's a new start week, it's my Sunday stitch, my stream stitch on Sunday, if that makes sense. And of course, then in between and around, I have my daily 100 stitches, which is part of the monthly sales I'm running on the Simply Stitcher and Friends Facebook group. So June's focus one, the theme is nature. So animal, vegetable, plant, mineral, scene, bird, butterfly, whatever. Fantasy or reality, doesn't matter. It's got a nature theme, or you can make it work with a nature theme. The idea of the monthly sale is you pledge to work on that piece. However much you plan to pledge to work on it is entirely up to you. For me, it's 100 stitches. 100 stitches a day is going into B. So B is currently getting an additional 700 stitches per week. So yeah, I have plenty of variety, and 1,000 stitches before I rotate out is enough to see progress. I like to see progress. I love the process of stitching, but I like to see progress. And doing 1,000 stitches for me is perfect. Doesn't work for everyone, because it wouldn't do for us all to be the same. But for me, it does. And that's how I roll. Okay. Jane comes on and says, I got my cup of tea. Let's just pick out that thread. Now for an interesting half-hour-ish. Thank you for explaining your stitching method. I may use this with my Haid restart. So again, just briefly, just to explain again my stitching method. I'm using a version of Stitching Mommy's Typewriter method, where she goes from the top left on the line of stitches that she's working on. I've divided my pieces into the 10 stitch deep blocks. So the upper leftmost stitch in the block, and then I will just carry on working to the right hand side of it until I run out of stitching area or thread, whichever comes first. So it works for me because I get complete squares. I don't have to go back and fill stuff in. I don't get stitchy lines or anything like that. And you know, I'm building. It's like a pixel art, building blocks. I may use this method with my Haid restart, she says, please do not ask. Fortunately, I had not got very far before I realised what I'd done. She also watches Stitching Mommy. I'm not going to ask, but I presume it was potentially a measurements issue, because I'm good at that. But all the best of luck, Jane, with your restart. I need some 22. Number 22, where are you? She also says, hello, Kitty. Angel in her starring appearance last week. And I love the wristband. Thank you very much, mate. Lauren loved it too. She has asked me to pop some ribbon on it though, because even though it's got an elastic band, we just want that extra bit of security, which is fine. I can do that. It's not like I don't have any sewing needles knocking about, is it? There's somebody gas bagging outside. Great Stitching Nicola says, Sharon, always interesting to hear about the method of stitching people use. Yeah, so I think I've done most stitching methods. I've done parking, I've done typewriter, I've done block by block, row by row, tent stitch, royal rose-ish. You know, I've used lots of stitchy methods, and it's finding what suits you and what suits your piece. Cross country, colour completing. And I think that these pieces, they do talk to you and tell you how they want to be stitched. Gemma found that with her Marvellous Garden, and I found that with a couple of my pieces that I fully intended to start stitching in one way, and I ended up changing to another. My 2 Unconventional X Stitch pieces are sort of testament to that, really, because I wanted to do them with parking, and I wanted to do one with Gemma's colour flow method, and they just didn't lend themselves to that. They said no. Essentially, they said no to me. So I had to diversify and do something different. But it's all part of stitching, isn't it? It's a learning process. Oh, it's gone quiet outside now, thank goodness. It sounded like someone was having a right old gas bag out there. Lizzie, who is Silver Stitches, says, wow, that was amazing stitch kindness. Angel is absolutely gorgeous, unusual colouring as well, and her beautiful eyes. Thank you very much. Yeah, Angel is, she's a pretty unique cat. I've no idea what kind of cat she is. She's just a cat. The cat. Number 9. Monique got 2 coffees during my Flosstube, and she says, love all your whips and happy stitching. Marvellous that you have the long bar now. It certainly is. I was floored when it came. I'm not going to lie. And, you know, the generosity of people never ceases to amaze. I'm just, you know, I have a lovely stitchy family. And then last week, on Wednesday, I would normally do a stream, but I didn't, because I was feeling so tired. I was just absolutely worn out. So I cancelled my scheduled stream. And I put a community post up, and there was a few good wishes on there, you know, to take care and see me next time type of thing. I just needed an early night, I think. I was in bed at 10 to 9 that night and asleep by 9. But to be fair, I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning. On the Monday, I'd been woken up by a random pain in my foot. So I was up at, well, stitching at 4 a.m. And by sort of time I started work, I'd done my 1,000 stitches. Then Monday night and Tuesday night, when I went to bed, both nights, the child next door decided to have the mother of all tantrums at 10 o'clock at night. So there was no way I was getting to sleep. So on the Wednesday, I just realised that no, I needed to sleep, I needed to rest. And I was in bed at 10 to 9, and by 9 o'clock I was asleep. But thank you all for your understanding. It's really marvellous how people have, you know, when I've said, you know, I've needed to cancel or whatever, they've been so understanding. It's great. I mean, I don't do it lightly, because I know that for some people, interacting with me on a live stream may be one of the few interactions that they get. But sometimes it's just a case of, unfortunately, needs must. Flosstube 22, Nina Hobbysite says, great progress, and I understand your disappointment. Hope next time it looks like a gift and not like this. Sometimes the post company does like its garbage. Yeah, I absolutely put that one down to Royal Mail there, Nina. There's nothing very royal about it, let's put it that way. But you know, thankfully the team at Geckorouge, I just wouldn't want them to get complaints about something that's not their fault. So I felt, you know, that it needed to be highlighted. And as I said before, I made the Flosstube, I did contact Geckorouge as well. So of course they were fully aware. Sandy says, what a wonderful update. I'm so pleased that you had some great stitchy kindness. The long bar will be a godsend. I'm glad the weight's still slowly shifting, and well done to Lauren. I'm pleased that work's eased a little bit for you. Oh, me too, Sandy, me too. And thanks for sharing. Take care. See you Sunday. Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, it's sort of been a climb down after some very busy weeks. I have been crazy busy, and hopefully now we're going to start to come at the other side of that. 5 days ago, Terry on Flosstube 23, she says, your kitty is gorgeous. Is she a Turkish van? No idea. I'm partial myself to Persians and Himmies, but your angel blows me away. Her markings are beautiful. Yeah, she's very fluffy. She's got sort of pantaloons, if you look at it from the back. And she's mainly, obviously mainly white, but then she has these beige and brown markings with a little black in them. We think that there's some part ragdoll in her. And then she's got beautiful green eyes, more sort of a yellow green than anything. She'll quite often she'll sit on the sofa arm opposite me and just stare at me, and it'll be the "aren't you going to get me my tea now" kind of look, or "aren't you going to feed me now?" Yeah, if her usual butler's not in, she comes to me. Dogs have masters, cats have staff. It's a very, very true saying. Your projects are wonderful, she says. I especially love Farewell to Anger and would love to do it, but I have more than enough to keep me busy. Yep. The wrist corsage is beautiful. She will love it. She certainly did. Thank you, Terry. Oh, moved slightly there. And on Magpie, Tessa Morningstar comments to say this piece is very pretty. Yep, it is. Magpie is a lovely piece. But I did sort of mention on my Flosstube that if you push me into a corner and said, which one are you least enjoying, it would be that one. And it's simply for the fact that all I've got is wing at the moment. And there's not a great variety of colours in comparison to the bee's wing, which is lots of sort of pale shades, and you can see it building up, and you know it's stunning. The magpie's wing is quite boring in comparison. Then on my last chatty stitch with me, Amy Stewart's stitching shelf was out. It's been a while, because obviously now I've got so many pieces, it does take a long time for them to come up in rotation. And Wendy Stitching says a great video. Thank you, Wendy. And Kay, who is a Sussex stitcher, leaves me some heart emojis. Thank you both very much. And Jen's World of Stitches comments to say, great video. I'm having same issues with my neighbours and the noise. So you've probably heard me say about this, but next door have 2 small children, which is fine. I don't have any objections to small children. Just want to make that clear. 3 children myself, so I know the noises that children can make. However, when a child is allowed to scream for 20 minutes without any kind of intervention from a parent or person in charge, it's a little bit much. We have shouted through the wall a couple of times because it's just got beyond ridiculous. I know it's really, really frustrated Andy at times, and he does find it very difficult. We don't live silently. We never have. Like I said, I've got 3 children myself, so Yes, there's noise. Sometimes we shout up and down the stairs at one another. You know, I mean, you've heard the girls quarrel. If you watch my live streams regularly, you know what it's like when the girls quarrel. You know, sometimes doors bang, or, you know, there's a bit of a heated shouting match between one or two people, and then somebody has to go in and try and be referee, and we don't live silently. However, bursts of noise that we have are not prolonged. They're certainly not prolonged for 20 minutes or more. And certainly not at any time of day, and indeed night. There have been a couple of occasions, like I said last week, at 10 o'clock at night. There was a full-on meltdown stroke tantrum, and nothing done to stop the tantrum. Everybody's parenting style is different. They may be using a technique that I'm not familiar with. However, it sounds, from what I hear through the wall, because we can hear a lot, there is no respect whatsoever from child to parent. And it doesn't sound like that they're having a very easy time with him. They need really to, in my opinion, which of course I'm entitled to, they really need to look and see if there's any help, support, or parenting technique that can help them, because it's beginning to be unpleasant living next door. And when I picked this house, we picked it because it was in a street a few streets in from the main road. There weren't a lot of children on the streets. We came up here in the school holidays to view. We asked about the neighbours, and we got couples either side, no young children. You know, we chose this house for a number of reasons, but the environment was one of them. And whilst it sounds lovely and quiet now, it's not the way it is very often. We had a piece of paper through the door last week, planning permissions being sought for a place a couple of 100 yards away to turn it into a nighttime venue. We are objecting because it's not what we want. We want a peaceful and quiet neighbourhood. It's suburban, it's not urban. People want to go for, you know, a drink or whatever. There's a pub on the main road. There's a micro pub as well on the main road. And other ones a short walk away. There don't need to be another one. And it's bang next to a school as well, which is out of order in my opinion. Having a pub venue next to a school. You know, you got people do drink in an afternoon. Drinking, smoking, swearing, what have you. I would have some serious objections. Well, I do have some serious objections. I also have objections for parking, for nighttime noise, and for the fact that it may bring criminal elements into the neighbourhood as well, which I just don't want. So, but yeah, I mean, we chose here because it was quiet, and now that quiet is being slowly dissolved. Laurie comments to say, another great stitching video on a stitching shelf. I actually stitched when I watched. Great stuff. I'm not the master at these stitching videos. I had no idea how to put Pattern Keeper onto my screen. I'm not technologically minded, as you guys know. I'm just about getting to grips with things like TikTok. But yeah, if these stitch with me's are a relaxing part of your day, I'm happy, because they are a relaxing part of mine. I need some 1, 2, 4. There. There it is. It's a dark brown. Leslie leaves me some thumbs up and thanks Nicola, and Mona leaves me some stitching articles, bobbin and scissors and needle and stuff. Thank you both very much, ladies. Again, that's on my Amy Stewart. These chatty stitch with me's are my sort of ranting opportunity, really, aren't they? And Anne-Marie says thank you, which is no worries at all. It's always my pleasure to make these videos. I do enjoy it. Thoroughly enjoy making floss tubes. Enid gives me a wave. Thank you very much, Enid. And back over to a floss tube number 20. Anne-Marie comments to say thank you for a lovely visit. No problem at all. And then I have Loopy Sue, who is again leaving me some hearts and smileys on my Amy Stewart stitch with me. And our lovely Sharon. Sharon says, so looking forward to the whip parade. We will certainly see some difference between the projects. Absolutely, you will. Certainly stitching, not stitching shelf, Night Cafe has grown enormously this year. And, you know, with having a couple of finishes as well, I'm just thrilled to have the, you know, stitching shelf is done, pandemic's done, bar a couple of back stitches, which I really should get done. I might actually do them in a bit. I keep saying that, and I never actually do it. You know, Symphony's not a million miles away from being done. I think we're, what are we at now on Symphony? About 60%? Something like that. 58% on Symphony, which is quite good. So, yeah. And then my July sal, my 100 a day. And for the July sal, I planned for the theme for it to be Christmas stroke winter in July. Not everybody has a Christmas project, but some people might have a winter project or a theme that they can use for winter. I have both. So when Symphony's finished, the focus for a finish for me is Christmas Cat, the Geckorouge. So that ticks the Christmas box. But I figured for my daily 100 in July, I would get Ice Dragon out. And then looking ahead to August, I think I'm going to go for an Anything Goes August. So pick any project for the sale that month. And I might just keep Ice Dragon out and finish it that way. Because Ice Dragon, it's hard to do it because it's on paper. And once Symphony and the second finish, whether it be Witch Cat, Stitch, Christmas Cat or Ice Dragon are done, we can have another new start. Woohoo! Always looking at them new starts. Okay, so speaking of starts, Alison Rennie says, hi, a new follower here, loving your work and your natural homely surrounds. how are you starting and finishing your threads? Do they not come undone as they're not pinned in any way? So I do have a video on my techniques playlist all about starting and ending my threads, plus my other different techniques of working, you know, parking and column stitching and so on and so forth. But what you can't see is when I end a thread, I'm actually making a loop with my hand underneath and passing the stitch through the loop and then pulling that tight through. It doesn't come undone. It may slightly loosen, but a pair of tweezers and a pull from the back of the thread end, it soon solves the problem. But in terms of loose stitches or stitches coming undone, it's a very rare occurrence. I've been working my start and end in that way for a long time now, and it's pure and simple because I'm lazy. I do not like flipping my hoop, and when I'm working in a piece that's huge, there are some big pieces that I have, flipping my hoop may not always be easy. So I had to diversify, hence developing my own start and ending my threads method. One of them things that you have to get used to. Give it a try. It may work for you. If not, no harm, no foul. You can then, you can try something else. But it may work. It may not. It works for me. It's like every bit of stitching. What works for you may not work for someone else. Same with rotations, stitching techniques, whether you're a left or right-handed stitcher and you're normally left or right-handed. I'm ambidextrous, but I tend to favour my right hand on top. Usually people who are right-handed, or predominantly right-handed, tend to favour their left hand on top because they can see what it's doing. But for me, because my left hand and my right hand work pretty evenly, it doesn't actually matter to me which hand's on top. Not the same for everybody. So some right-handed, dominant right-handed stitchers do have their right hand on top like me. Some people don't like using a hoop. Some people don't like using a stand. You know, so everybody's different. The only stitching rules are the ones that you make for yourself. So says Karen, our lovely friend, the needlebug. And me, I very much stitch my own way, my own method. My bottom of the X is always top right to bottom left. And then the bottom is top left to bottom right. But depending on the run of the fabric, I may start my stitch at the opposite corner to avoid the dreaded slippage. And I did do a video about how I work on even weave. Again, it's in my techniques playlist. Okay. Don't think I've many more comments. Mona says, sorry I missed the stream today. This was on Sunday, packing for a quilting retreat. I will catch you on the replay. Happy Father's Day to Andy. Andy very much appreciates all of the Father's Day wishes that he had. The girls, of course, spoiled him. Chocolate, socks, a dad jokes book, licorice all sorts, which he loves, and jelly tots and all kinds of bits and pieces, and a crown to wear. They do love Andy. I mean, Andy's been in their lives more than their biological dad. Me and Andy have been together for 12 years. And Hannah was 12 when her dad left. She was 11 going on 12. And and Hannah and Andy have a great relationship. They do argue and fight sometimes, but you know, they do get along. And you know, she calls him Noodles, he calls her Banana. And you know, like, we were out in the garden yesterday and she was like, oh, I'm going to go and see my friend Noodles, I need a new strimmer key. And you know, doing things like that, it's quite fun sometimes just to watch the way that they interact with each other as well. And of course, he's been in Lauren's life since Lauren was 4 years old. And you know, even before me and my ex-husband separated, he was a part of the girls' lives because we were friends, so the girls knew him. It was a while before we told the girls that we were together, and the response from the girls, I mean, Hannah was, like I said, going on 12, Victoria was 9. As far as they were concerned, was their responses were, as long as you're happy. And that's what they wanted. And I said to them, I would not, if they had any objections, I would not bring Andy into their lives. And they said, no, we like him, he can stay. And stay he has. And again, Karen Ennis says, happy Father's Day, Andy. And Lupe Sue again leaves me some hearts and emojis. So I had a comment in Spanish, and thanks to good old Google Translate, I could work out what it said. Oh, it's just lost the translation now, just bear with me. It was a lovely comment. Just copy it up. Google Translate. It says, and how does the reverse of the work look? How is the finishing done? What a beautiful talent you have, and thank you for sharing. So, in answer to the question, this is B. And this is the reverse. So, fairly neat. Little short ends. No lots of long straggly bits, you know, that go along, and you can see the direction that the stitches have gone in. So the reverses don't look too bad. And as I said before, I have the how I start and end my threads video on a playlist. So thank you very much indeed, Sarah Christina, for your comment. And I do hope that the translation, the auto-translate function has worked correctly. But yes, the backs, they are not terribly messy. It is just really a case of making sure I'm not stretching the thread across too many squares for my next stitch. If it's more than, say, 10 or 12 squares, I'll end the thread and rejoin it rather than have lots of long bits of thread on the back. Again, I think that can be quite wasteful as well, and we're trying not to waste. And thank you very much indeed for saying that I have a talent. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Mucho apreciato. I hope that was right. Probably wasn't. Let me have a look, see if I can say something in Spanish. Bear with. English. Oh, it might have been Portuguese, actually. English. So, thank you. For the compliment. Spanish. Let's have a look. Muchas gracias por el cumplido. So, muchas gracias por el cumplido. Or in Portuguese, let's just have a look in Portuguese in case it was Portuguese. Oh. Portuguese. Muito obrigado pelo elogio. Elogio? Anyway, thank you very much. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then this is the last comment, and she often gets in the last comment, our lovely Sandy. And she says, a great relaxing stitch with me as always. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing your whip parade and hope you're enjoying your holiday. Take care and happy stitching. Thank you, Sandy. All of the above. I'm looking forward to the whip parade too, and showing you guys exactly how much progress I've made. And I plan on doing like a photo gallery at the end of it of how each piece looks now. And yes, I am enjoying my time off. I'm having some good relaxation. I've had a bit of an issue the last day or two. I've had a bit of anxiety coming up to trouble me, but we've soon got that under control. The meds have come out. But yeah, I'm getting there, and it's just nice to have the time off from work to be able to sit and relax with my stitching and get some stitches in. So thank you very much indeed. And indeed, thank you to everybody who has submitted a comment. It really is appreciated. It helps me enormously. I get to know you guys, and by asking questions, you guys get to know me. And it's just so nice. I mean, I love lots of elements of my YouTubing, as I'm sure you guys do. Things like Sew and Tell are always a success. Lots of people enjoy Sew and Tell, and I do. I really enjoy it. Seeing what people have and haven't, you know, seeing what people are showing, people are buying, all the rest of it. It's just amazing to see. I'm just blown away that people are happy to share that with me, and of course with everyone else. So I released a short earlier today with She Sleeps, and I'm getting lots of lovely comments on it. It's great. But yeah, I mean, your guys' interaction makes my Flosstube. And of course with things like the group as well, with doing the monthly stitch alongs and stuff like that. You know, we celebrate in every small milestone. We don't just celebrate when a piece is finished, we celebrate the path along the way. You know, if you finish a page or a colour, or get to, you know, a percentage that ends in a 0 or a 5, or even every single percent for a supersized max colour. Have you, you know, finished a skein of thread? You know, have you got to 10,000 stitches? Everything is worth celebrating. These pieces are a long-term commitment. I've said this before, and I say it again. These pieces are a long-term commitment. So celebrating every little milestone is just as important as the finished piece, in my view. I certainly love what I do. It makes me happy that I can do these, you know, stitch on these pieces and it just be amazing, you know. I just love it. I think we all spur one another on, but we also enable one another too. There's always somebody during show and tell that has to go off and buy. And I absolutely get that, because sometimes I want to do it myself. And then I think, yeah, my pattern keeper's full. I mean, I know there's no limit on pattern. Well, there might be a limit. I haven't found it yet on pattern keeper. But yeah, I do enjoy doing the show and tell and seeing who's gone off and bought something. And as I said, the plan is still to look at least 4 finishes this year, possibly 5. Could maybe even squeak towards 6, but that could be being a little too optimistic. However many I get finished, it's stitching done. That's the thing, isn't it? I'm still on target for my 500k this year. So 500,000 stitches. I am still got my eye on that prize. 23rd or 24th of December, I think. I'm still trying to get stitches in the bank. I think probably tomorrow I should be looking at topping up my master set. But still, I put in a good lot of stitches this week. And like I said, I'm trying to be a bit more present on social media. So Instagram, if you can follow me on Instagram, that'd be great. And also if you have TikTok, I do have a TikTok as well. And I should be looking to put the link in the description box below. So give me a blog or a repost or whatever it is you call it on those platforms. It'd be fabulous. Help me become more visible and spread the love of cross stitching. So much negativity in the world of late. Oh, let's have something to bring joy. We will be finishing this one very shortly. I just want to get in these last 9 stitches and then we'll be 300 stitches done. Believe it or not. 283, 4, 5, yeah, 300 stitches. Because I started at 280 and with these I will finish at exactly 580. So 300 stitches in an hour and a half isn't bad. So yeah, it's a rate of roughly 200 an hour, which I'm happy about. It's handy though when you get bits like this which are nice and blocky and we're not chopping and changing thread. So when we're chopping and changing thread, it slows us down, you know, heavy confetti, which is why I tend to park the confetti ones if I can. So I'm going to end this video in a moment with my usual reminders. 3 videos that appear on your screen in a moment. So if you've not seen those, please do go take a few minutes to have a look. As ever, I release a Flosstube on Tuesdays, Stitch with Me Thursdays and Saturdays, and I live stream at 7:30 p.m. UK time. You'll find all of the information about all of my projects and links in the box below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do consider doing so. It helps my visibility. And as ever, I just want to say thank you all very much indeed for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, and take care. Happy stitching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.